dueling stuff, and I have some news to go along with all that. In the meantime, just a reminder, on Monday we have Memorial Day off, but this Saturday night I believe I'm going live. Maybe I'll have some guests here, maybe not. So I hope you're all doing well. Go and check out our sponsor, BlueMonsterPrep.com. Please go check them out. The news is screaming at you to go and talk to good people like Pat and Gina and get all of the things that you can control under control, because as far as where the world is going to drag us, there may be a lot of things out of our control. And if we can suffer just a little bit less than the rest of the cattle, then you should do whatever you can in the meantime. So that's what I say for tonight. Keep it short and sweet. BlueMonsterPrep.com. Whole bunch of things over there for you to look at. If you don't know where to start looking or what to start planning for, get in touch with them. Email them. They will call you almost immediately. I promise you. Okay. All right. So, all right, let's go into our grab bag, shall we? Let's do it. First one up. You probably heard about this one today. Stewart Rhodes. He's been on this show a couple of times years ago. Stewart Rhodes, Oath Keepers founder, has been sentenced to 18 years. He's the latest person to be made an example of who should not be going to jail. January 6th seditious conspiracy case. The fact that this government is even throwing around the term seditious conspiracy in an unironic way is very ironic. Listen to this. And I had to ask. I asked Adel and Zach on the 4 o'clock show today, what the hell did he do? Well, there's a little bit in here. And there's even more that I was told at 4 o'clock that makes us... We know what this is about. This is the big shot across the bow for all of us. This is the howitzer. See, you dodged a bullet. This is the howitzer. The founder of the far right Oath Keepers, which means American. Remember, if you do remember, we go back that far. It might have been 2015, 16, 17, around there. Stewart was on once or twice talking about their presence, the Oath Keepers' presence at demonstrations like in Ferguson, where they showed up and they had the interests of both the police and the protesters in mind. So of course they like to gloss over the fact that they show up to even so-called civil rights protests, even though we know what it's really all about, this Marxist color revolution plan coming to fruition. And he always knew what time of day it was, if I remember correctly. He always knew the writing on the wall. He knew where all this ideology had been imported from long ago, and that we were in the end phases of this thing. And even though he did not want it to come to that, he saw very dark things happening in our country. He said, here's from the NBC, the sentence for Stewart Rhodes is the longest imposed on a January 6th defendant to date. In politically charged speech on the courtroom just before his sentencing, he called himself a political prisoner, which he is, and said that when he talked about regime change in a phone call with supporters earlier this week, he meant he hopes that former President Donald Trump will win in 2024. You see, everything is evidence toward the contrary. Everything is evidence toward the contrary. When you have the ability to create reality, when you own the machine that can create reality for tens and tens of millions of people, no matter how many people are waking up, there's still so many more that will just accept it. And even those who are waking up, they have common sense enough to see where all the guns and where all the central authority is stacked up. Where is it stacked up, and what are they pushing? And what are they willing to defend at all costs? What narrative are they willing to defend? So it got everybody, either you are sleepy and going along like a nice little tax cattle slave, or you are, like I said the other night, you are stuck in between whenever you're paying attention to it and not detaching and going to enjoy your life. Whenever you pay attention to what's going on the bigger scale, you are usually stuck between this element of outrage and disgust and self-censorship. Because at this point, even speaking out loud is now evidence of seditious conspiracy. Because he never even went into the building, right? It's just that, but he's a ringleader at some point. He's getting the largest sentence, and he didn't even go into the building. The judge disagreed that Rhodes had been locked up for politics, saying it was his actions that led to criminal convictions. You, sir, present an ongoing threat and peril to this country and to the republic, which doesn't exist, and to the very fabric of this democracy, which also doesn't exist, even though democracy is slavery in itself. Judge Amit Mehta said before handing down the sentence, Rhodes was convicted of seditious conspiracy. They won't fear us until we come with rifles in hand, Rhodes wrote in a message ahead of January 6th attack. Which is true. Objectively, it's true. Did they go there with rifles in hand? No. So he's talking out loud about what tyrannical government would and would not respond to. And it's true. But of course, this is about making sure nobody ever has a conversation, ever has a very spicy conversation again, because conversations are not crimes. They want to make it that way. After the attack, in a recording message that played it, so that he said that after the attack, he said his only regret was that they should have brought rifles. Well, when you see that it might have prevented a few murders, prevented a couple murders, might have led to a few just a shootout. Might have, but then again, the Capitol Police would probably have been a little bit less willing to kill people that day, because those are the only people who killed anybody. So they go on. You're not a political prisoner, Mr. Rhodes. The other guy, who's also been charged, 12-year sentence for this guy, Meggs. He apologized to his family. Terrible stuff. And Rhodes took the stand in the case, saying at the trial and other members of the Oath Keepers were stupid to storm the Capitol, and that he disagreed with those who went inside. Rhodes did not enter the building. I had no idea that any Oath Keeper was even thinking about going inside or would go inside. And of course, those people probably got a couple of months. But they probably were detained as well. But as far as the sentences goes, it's probably not 18 years. And he was outside. This is about sending a message. But the government was also, because they had been waiting a long time. Oath Keepers has been one of them. I forgot the others, a couple other people that we had interviewed over the years from those groups. Those are the type of groups they've been wanting to hack down at the knees for a long time. But the government also produced messages in which Rhodes said he thought that January 6th was the last opportunity to stop what he saw as a takeover of the government. A lot of people saw it that. Why do you think that there was 1 million people there protesting? A lot of people saw it that way. And on January 6th, a lot of people who were there thought that there was actually a legislative, and I say legislative because it would be the House of Representatives that could challenge any of this stuff and just and take a few days to present evidence and all that. That's what most people were thinking. They wanted to go there to compel Congress to challenge. To compel at that point, Republican majority to challenge what had gone on and just try to at least make a fight out of it. Some people thought that Mike Pence had the ability to do one thing or another, which is, I always said, that's not going to happen. But this is just about people who know how to create reality, and they don't care how many lives they ruin in the meantime. It's about sending a message, and that's what it's about. 18 years. For somebody Stewart Rhodes' age, that could be a life sentence. Or, if there is a president who isn't a Democrat who comes along and starts pardoning and commuting people, that's not one thing. All right, well, let's go on over to San Francisco, shall we? There's poop everywhere. San Francisco's office district, not only a ghost town, it's also covered in shit. Everyone knows that San Francisco is the nation's largest public toilet, requiring the city to employ six-figure poop patrol cleanup team. However, a new report from the city controller's office really puts things into perspective, or poo-spective. Feces. If you go and search feces, you get dozens of matches. For starters, feces were found far more often in the commercial sectors, covering approximately 50% of street segments in key commercial areas and 30% in the city-wide survey. Second only to broken glass, as can be seen in the illegal dumping section. If you're wondering about the city's fecal methodology, look no further than the footnote on page 43. Feces also includes bags filled with feces that are not inside trash receptacles. Feces that are spread or smeared on the street, sidewalk, or other objects along the evaluation route are counted as well. Stains that appear to be related to feces but have been cleaned are not counted. Bird droppings are excluded from this. Because, of course, the birds have more dignity. They'll go shit in a tree or something like that. No, they shit all over my car. They fly from San Francisco every morning to shit all over my car. Pterodactyl. Okay? We're talking about pterodactyl shits all over my car in the morning. Never ends. I don't know where they eat at night, the night before. Never ends. Now Aurora knows what she's looking for, too. Daddy, there's so much poop. I said, I know. I actually don't think it's a bird, Aurora. No? Let's see here. It's terrible. The street is covered. Tenderloin resident Joe Souza told the San Francisco Standard earlier this month. There's poop everywhere. That poop again. You always see it along the wall and in the front of the garage there. Meanwhile, nearly two-thirds of key commercial routes reported moderate to severe street litter versus 41% of the citywide streets struggling with the same problem. Anybody in this audience live in San Francisco? I don't know if I ever asked that. I don't remember any correspondence from San Francisco. But, yeah. That's soon the only jobs left in San Francisco is going to be poop cleaning. Speaking of poop, though, let's just keep this theme going just a little bit more. From the New York Post, we're talking about Ozempic again. Ozempic users report gross side effect. Another one. Join the shit the bed club. Ozempic and Wegovy have been hailed as secret weapons for weight loss, but some users are reporting seriously stinky side effects. The drugs, initially designed for people with type 2 diabetes, are now being prescribed to those looking to lose several pounds, with many hailing them as a miracle. But if the medication sounds too good to be true, that's because it is, at least for users who are rushing to the restroom and waking up with soiled sheets. Around 30% of Wegovy users said that they have suffered from diarrhea, while 24% have experienced constipation. It's one or the other. According to a new article on Insider, some have even joined a shit the bed club, saying that they have woken up to find themselves covered in their own poop. We're not in San Francisco anymore, Toto. I quite literally shit myself while sleeping. I guess you can. I mean, they chose to take it. One person wrote on Reddit, it's the sleep shits thread. That's a first. Been tough few days of diarrhea after my first semaglutide injection. Gotcha. Injected once per week into the stomach, thigh, or arm, Ozempic and Wegovy are semaglutides, which help the pancreas release the right amount of insulin when blood sugar levels are high. All right, well. I don't know what to say. Good luck. Here's one from Study Finds that I can see this being the case. Morning Majesty. Early risers have greater faith and satisfaction in their lives. I think I would say early risers. If you're categorizing people as, oh, I'm an early riser. Yeah, no, I just wake up, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm just with it. There are people who wake up because they have to, and I can assure you that most of them, they don't wake up to feeling satisfaction, or all of them at least. But those who are early risers, that's just the case. I can see that as being just, I can't wait to start the day. I can't wait to tackle this day. I can see that being the case. Of course, it's not for everybody. It's never the same for everybody, but if you, more specifically, this new study indicates that being religious may contribute to previously established link connecting a preference for waking up early and having a higher life satisfaction. That relationship, consequently, may also be influenced by a person's level of conscientiousness, the character trait of being careful, hardworking, and diligent. Some people naturally prefer waking up early in the morning, while others like staying up late, and a third group falls somewhere in between. I think I'm probably in between, because I enjoy a late night, but not too late. The thing that always used to get me, I knew that I really screwed up when all of a sudden I remember a time when 1 o'clock in the morning, it's like, okay, it's only 1. I remember being like that. Now it's 1, it's just like, oh man. All right, let's pull the plug, and it looks like I'm skipping my shower tonight, which is why I can only do that in the winter time, of course, not in the summer. Sweat too much in the summer, you know what I mean? But yeah, I remember being like, it's 1 o'clock. That's not that bad. All right, well, we got at least another hour and a half. And then when you really screw up, even if you're in that late mindset and you start hearing the birds chirping, you start hearing the birds asking mommy for the worm, it's, you're really screwed up. Because I don't like sleeping in. No matter how much I've stayed up at night, I don't like sleeping in. The last summer I slept in, actually slept past 9 o'clock and even past 10 some days, I was in high school. I don't sleep. If I went to sleep at 3, if I fell asleep at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'd still wake up at latest 8 and just deal with the grogginess for the day, and then try again the next day. But so I'm somewhere in between. I like hanging out until around midnight. I got a lot of late night creative juices that sometimes I don't want to go to waste. I write, I put ideas down, I organize, I do some stuff. What are you guys like? Are you just, hey, whatever the sun does, I do. I'm going to sleep at 7 o'clock p.m. I'm waking up at 5 in the morning, and that's my domain. I would love to do something like that, but I would love to just be able to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and not have gone to sleep at 12. That's the catch. That's the catch. To wake up at 5 but have not gone to sleep at midnight. Because I like both. I want more time in the day, and I want more time at night. It's a very magical place. All right, 7:16. Let's go and start this one off. And bring on Sam Tripoli. Don't go anywhere.
You tune in at your own enjoyment, because it is the best show since the beginning of time. It has technological advancements and a more sophisticated approach. But like every great awakening that has preceded it, it has one iron rule. Logic is a friend and truth is essential. You are now entering, quite frankly. Now take off your pants. And jacket.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!
Thank you for joining me. If you want to contribute to the show, in a number of ways, both to support the show monetarily and to submit some thoughts to the conversation at hand, or many. There's always multiple topics. You can go to quitefranklysuperchat.com. There's those Rumble rants that are right in there. It makes you feel like you're back in the old YouTube days when we had Super Chats available to us, when we were not considered too dangerous for Super Chats. It's the stupidest thing. You are permanently demonetized. You can still preach hate, though. You can still preach your hate. But no, you can't make us money. To hell with them. And there's also the gold pills on quitefrankly.tv, powered by Foxhole. So take part in it all. Now, there's this. I wanted to just throw this out there before Sam shows up and we get on with that. But there was an article from Yahoo that got around pretty well today about Elon Musk reportedly going on exploratory journeys and likes to show friends a chart of the benefits of MDMA and mushrooms over alcohol. Now, I've always been interested in getting, we've had some people call into the show to talk about depression and other things that was treated by microdosing psilocybin and things like that. I know ketamine is something that is getting more and more popular these days. And a lot of people say, hey, it's not a lot, and it's better than taking Valium. It's better than taking this thing or another, and really getting roped into these pharmaceuticals that always require more and more and more. Well, when it comes to this, I had to agree on that. I mean, a mushroom over something that is made at Johnson & Johnson. There's that, but so people have been. I guess it's the whole point here is to show or try to paint Elon Musk as some sort of a out of his mind crazy guy who stole away their favorite plaything. Because it's really all about that. And I wanted to ask about this because you talk about exploratory. You're always talking about reality and a person's perception of reality and how that changes, especially people when they get together in groups. If they take substances in groups, or even if they're just sober, everybody, it can be a pretty hard influence on the people around them. And I want to talk to Sam about that too, because I know that he's been wondering a lot about reality and how it's crafted, and just how much of everything that we're living through right now is really just factory manufactured crap. Hey, Sam, you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Can you see me?
I can. Behind your two giant screens.
3 giant screens, in fact.
Yeah, look at you. Who's professional?
Well, you get the behind-the-scenes ghetto. You look great, though, over there. I mean, the last time you showed
Thank you, dude.
There was no...
This is somewhat... I'm not excited about this bag being there, but it is what it is. We're growing.
Dude.
Trying to build a studio here, When you got 1,000 podcasts, it's hard to stop and rebuild it, but we're doing the best we can.
I was going to say, last time you called in, you did not have that snazzy bookshelf, and it is true.
Thank you.
How many you are what 5, 6? How many do you do?
I have 7 podcasts. I just started a new show with a buddy of mine also, so that'll be 8. I'll do it when I can.
So okay, well, but without going through all of them, how do you...
Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Okay, if you're in Louisiana, next Saturday, I'm in Baton Rouge. Somebody buy a freaking ticket to my show. I'm like this crazy guy that goes into these like alternative markets, and then I'm wondering why nobody's buying tickets to see me in Jackson, Mississippi. Like, who goes to Jackson, Mississippi? This retard, okay? That's who does.
So what's the matter?
See me in Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge, not it hasn't been.
I'm moving tickets to Baton Rouge, but I'm really upset that nobody in Mississippi seems to be into conspiracies.
Do you think that's what it is?
I don't know, dude. Conspiracy Daddy's in town. I sold like 30 tickets. Like, what are we doing here?
Hey, well, let me ask you this. Do you ever do on the spot, like when you go up to a show, when you go to a show, regardless of where it is, do you ever record podcast there before or after and make it a big
Yeah,
thing?
I do that sometimes, dude. Sometimes. Well, when I do it by myself, I do it. Like if I do it with Eddie, we just leave that to be the live stuff, but on the road, like I'll do Stamp in the first show, and then I'll do what I like to call the what do I call it? The revival. I'll do a comedy revival in the second show where I just break down how I think the universe starts, how it started, and where we are in everything that's going on in the world, which is a very interesting place to be right now. If you're asking me where I am right now,
where are you?
You're asking me. Here I am. I've gone 355 degrees from when I started.
So you're close. You're close to being right where you started.
I'm close, but I'm not there for the same reasons than, let's say, my friends who don't believe in any conspiracies, right? I'm standing near them, but for totally different reasons.
It's like it's like the midwit chart. It's like the midwit chart where people on opposite sides of the acuity scale will stand side by side for very different reasons. Maybe somebody's looking into it a little bit more shallow than others, but you can go simple or sophisticated with it. But it's usually the people in the middle that try to complicate fairly simple things.
Well, so you have people go, I don't believe in any of these conspiracies. Then I'm standing little ways off from them, and I go, I believe in conspiracies. I just don't believe any of them happen naturally. Meaning, I'm at a place now where I believe everything is an intelligence psy-op. That nothing happens without a hidden hand. So in that, I pull myself up. So what makes me different than the people that don't believe in any conspiracies is that I pull my time, energy, and money out of the system, which I think that's how you win. Whereas they don't believe in any conspiracies, and they fully participate in everything that's going on. That's the difference.
Give me the Russian doll breakdown on this, though, because I think about it all the time. When you say intelligence based conspiracies, we're talking about big time bureaucratic goings on that is looking at has figured out how the human mind works, especially when they're in groups. They've got the media in hand, they've got all of their tools, and they are just screwing with us. And but as you start
at every level of every moment, because it's not an overnight thing. This is a centuries long operation.
Right.
And that's why when someone goes, is everything a conspiracy? 100% everything's a conspiracy, because you don't think it's because the people who don't believe in any conspiracies don't realize how long this has been going on. Okay. And that's forever. They've been doing this for centuries. Probably, I would say the real push of this started in the 1500s, maybe, like when we see the emergence of the Rothschilds, who are the older version of Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, and Elon Musk, these billionaires that we have this Paul Bunyan type stories of them where they're like, oh my God, they do these great feats. And reality, they're just LARPs playing a role. They just happen to have the right characteristics to fill those roles, right? Like Elon Musk is really smart. And he obviously showed enough psychopath tendencies that they're like, this is a guy we could use. Maybe his brother was good at freaking, his brother's good at art, but wouldn't kill a puppy in a second to make 20 mil, right? So they start figuring, and then they just insert these guys into these action roles that they play these lifetime roles. Like Zuckerberg isn't anybody like, oh my God, Zuckerberg is like, oh my God, he came up with Facebook. No, dude, DARPA came and goes, run this, and he ran it. So he played that role forever.
Take the current. Let's take the current crop. The current crop of.
But you understand that's the Rothschilds too. Like that's this story about this incredibly smart kid who went in and just took over finances. It's like none of that's real. Maybe he was super smart, but he was completely positioned by the same forces that positioned Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, and Elon Musk. It's the same thing. Oh, and he just had these kids who just were so smart they could go to Germany, France, and England and take over the bank in there. No, they were placed in there.
Well, okay. Well, Sam, let me ask you this. Let's take the current crop right now here in the 21st century, and we talk a lot about end game scenarios here. We talk a lot about conspiracy and how and different ones, because what we have is interwoven plots. We have just things that they rely on each other. They're also mutually exclusive. It's a crazy game of well, anyway, you go through it a lot, but let me ask you this. Where do you see the ultimate end game being? Is it trapping humanity inside of a hard drive? Is it the transhumanist thing? Are we talking cyborgs? Are we talking depopulation? Because everybody usually says this is where we think it really is going to. I want to know what your total tip of the spear end game point is. Where is it all going?
Their first thing is feudalism, meaning extremely rich and incredibly poor, and then the just move, like it's like every episode of Black Mirror in one place. That's what they want. That's where they want to go, which is like, you don't leave your block, you're fucking miserable, you're fat, you're on a little rascal, and the only happiness you have is when you get into the metaverse, you're lost in that, and then we're into this matrix. So when the Wachowski sisters, right, are like, the matrix is about trans, and the trans community starts going crazy, they just don't understand what they're talking about is transhumanism. That's ultimately where they want to go. I do not think they'll ever get to that.
Okay, so talk about the wall that they're going to smash against if they don't get there.
It's just these parasites aren't bigger than the universe. It's like there's universal laws that are bigger than whoever the top guy is. It's just they're not bigger than that. They can't. The universal law is love, And if you're going the opposite of that, it may work for a little while, but eventually the bottom falls out of it. If you don't practice like law of attraction, model of abundance, love thy neighbor, all that stuff, the bottom falls out. Like, manifestation is a really powerful tool, and even like when I used to take the martial arts, my seafood would be, sadly, bad people can learn kung fu too. Bad people can learn martial arts. Well, bad people can practice law of attraction as well. I'm not going to say names of comedians, but we've seen these really driven comedians get to the highest levels of comedy, and then just it all goes away because they didn't practice certain things, which is giving it away. So when I get into everything is a intelligence operation, I just think nothing that we're seeing on the internet is natural.
No. Right before you came on, I actually had brought up Elon Musk, because one of the stories revolving around him today was about how he has had conversations with people about how he psilocybin mushrooms and MDMA and taking kind of cosmic psychedelic journeys to explore our minds and the universe and the possibilities and all that stuff. Ultimately, we're talking about everybody's pursuit for understanding consciousness, reality, and I think that there are those who are a little bit less interested and just want to have a nice, safe routine and just keep things simple. But whether we are interested or not, there are forces so far bigger than we can comprehend that are interested in shaping our realities. And I see that we're in a place where it's so fragmented into 1,000 pieces that even people on your quote unquote side of the good versus evil battle, there's subsections and sub-denominations of things. And
great point.
It's becoming very, very hard to talk to people without stepping on one.
Because you're on the, and listen, and this is because I did the same thing, because you're on the internet. The internet, or you're on social media. Social media is a trauma deliverance system. That's all it is. It is a trauma deliverance system that is that has a smoke screen of tits and ass and cat videos that kind of do a smoke screen for what's meant to do, which is to deliver trauma to you. So that we live in a time of, I had this one guest on recently. She brought up something really blew my mind, and I've talked about a lot on my podcast, which is that we are the only mammals that are constantly in fight and flight all the time, like all the time, and it's done incredible damage to our birth rate because animals don't tend to have babies when they're in fight and flight all the time. Every other animal will when it has a predator hunting it down, it will do its best to escape. And once it escapes and it realizes that the danger's gone, it goes back to its normal state. Humans are constantly in fight and flight. Even when we're not in fight and flight, we're constantly in fight and flight, meaning when there's actually no danger around us. From the neighborhood app to Twitter, oh my God, you hear some guy got hit in the head by a bat in Cincinnati. Well, 30 years ago, you would never have heard that. Now all of a sudden, it's like some guy got hit by a bat in Cincinnati. Now I could get hit with a bat here in Tarzana, California. I got to be on the lookout.
Everything is your back. Everything's in your backyard. I know that. I know it. I know it.
So when you start getting into the fragments and all that stuff, you're 100% correct. If you participate in that, and that's why I'm saying I'm at a 355. I'm not at 360, because 360 is I'm on a neighborhood app. I'm fucking watching the news. I'm on Twitter. I'm doing all that. What I'm doing is, oh, fuck, this is all psy-ops. I'm pulling myself out of it. I'm pulling my energy out of it. I'm not participating in it right now. Does that mean nothing's happening? No. There could have shit coming, and I'm prepared for it. Got guns, got gold, I'm taking Krav Maga and jiu-jitsu. Daddy's ready for the zombie apocalypse, okay? But I'm not going to live my life in fight and flight all the fucking time, because they win. They want my anxiety high, my energy high. That's what they want us to do.
It's talking about the psyop. I think the one that pisses me off the most, and another one that I refuse to yield on, in all of these crazy acts of, I think, suicide, altruistic suicide that we see these corporations going through. When Miller Lite came out and they threw that female comedian throwing around, pretty much saying we have to rethink the bikini that we used to sell beer with, and women make beer and all that fucking bullshit. I was saying there too, on another show that I was invited on, the thing about the bikini is this: it's a symbol at this point. It's not about the objectification of a woman or anything like that. It's a symbol of a time that we know existed and that we know it was good. And in this pursuit of theirs to capture the present, to be able to mold the future, they also want to be able to tell people who live to see better times that it actually wasn't that way, that you were actually, it was not only bad, worse than you remembered, but it was bad because you facilitated it. And so they're even trying to take away our good memories, and for those who weren't alive, they're just trying to tell everybody, hey, listen, believe us. I mean, before Barack Obama, everybody was in chains. Women, that's the psyop I hate the most, stealing the past.
Well, that is directly to cultural Marxism and the destruction of the family unit, so that grandparents and parents don't have the same information that the kids do. So you can't give your kids advice on how to do this, and this. Now they have to learn on their own, while the elites and the establishment teach your kids all the secrets of the universe. That's what's going on right now. That is what it's all about. You brought up bikinis. The best example of that is Max, HBO Max. It's now Max. HBO was seen as the gold standard of television. Cinemax was like the the retarded little brother that couldn't stop doing drugs, that was just on the streets, and you would see him drunk walking down the street, and now it's the big boy. And that is done on purpose. So now if I go, hey, man, I just got an HBO special, my kids will be like, what the fuck's that? They don't know how important it was at some point to have an HBO special. That's all done on purpose. That's what's all done on purpose. They're trying to destroy this place from within, because you can't. It's like what they did to Russia minus the internet. You can't march into America with an army. You have to do it slowly through within. But I think they're at the end of their run, bro. I really do believe it. I think more and more people who would normally identify as left and progressive are going, what is really going on? And some of them are running scared. Like, I know a comic who I love very much, who is as progressive as you could fucking get, even though back in the day, he was known for making people cry. He was so nasty with them. He's like, I'm getting the fuck out of here because these cities are crumbling. Well, because I'm a nice guy, I didn't kind of put it in his face, but it's because of the people you've pushed that these cities are crumbling. But he starts to see what's going on, and eventually you can only go so long before you start blaming it on everybody else when it's all D's and D's and D's and D's. Do I think we're going to win? I do believe we're going to win. How long will that take? I don't know. I really don't know, but I do believe. Will it go back to what we were before? I don't know. But I think on an individual basis, if you save yourself right now, you can position yourself in a great time. Buy a house, save gold, buy guns, find love, have kids. That's how you win. That's my opinion. I'm with you on that one. I really am. And you know, talking about people who know that they're losing, it's evident now. It's evident to me that the only things left are really turning off the internet, turning off the lights, starting bigger and bigger wars, bigger and bigger economic, making people so uncomfortable with trying to figure out where they're going to get their next meal and how they're going to save anything for retirement, to not pay attention as much. I think that's what they think is the best thing they can do, just to disrupt things. I mean, I remember the past. It's all manifest, bro. You gotta you gotta look at it, dude. If they were in control the way they were 20 years ago, we would already be at war with Russia. We'd already be at war with Iran. They've been trying to manifest everything. Dude, 9/11 was a giant occult manifesting ritual, and it worked because they wanted to manifest to get us to manifest that we need them to go get the bad guys that attacked us. Now with the internet, and everyone's like, the internet's gonna get knocked out. The internet's gonna get knocked out. Maybe. I also think, and you know, and when we're just talking energy here, and we're talking about, like, you know, when I play the tape out in my head, and I think there's entities of light that are pushing back against these entities of darkness that are really in control right now, and that is this realm. It's all about these fallen. Everything's about worshipers of fallen, the Molochians and all that stuff. And I think they're losing. And I think they're losing in ways that they can't come to grips with. And that's why everything is failing on their end. And it's just eventually people are going to wake up. When you're having arguments about the debt ceiling, but you keep sending Ukraine money, and now it's coming out that Ukraine is lost and we keep sending money, people are going to wake up to that. And people are waking up in Chicago, which is the most democratic place in the world. Oh, you're bringing us all these illegals? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? And people are waking up to this. Oh my God, the diversity of white supremacy. People are waking up to that.
That's the best one. That's the best one of the last couple of weeks. The diversity of white supremacy. And I said it too. I said it. It's really an incredible thing that at this point, right now, this year, that white supremacy is more diverse, both externally and thought-wise, than the supposed progressive left. I mean, it's who could know, who could have ever expected this level of extremism to be so inclusive? And But they keep pushing.
Minded.
It's
to
so
everybody.
ridiculous.
It's like unbelievable to me. And then you just got these idiots like Wanda Sykes tweeting the dumbest shit till a drag queen comes in with a fucking To Kill a Mockingbird book and hurts 5 kids during story hour. I go, didn't 2 trans just shoot up 2 schools? And then people are arguing with me on like the definition of trans and drag queens, and it's just like, get the fuck out of here with this shit. Is this chick who was on, like, no one can explain Wanda Sykes' career outside she went to Jeffrey Epstein's island. No one can. I mean, like, before Bill Cosby got canceled, he was talking about how no one can understand a word Wanda Sykes says. It makes nothing. She makes money off of this fucking cultural Marxism and this I'm oppressed. Listen to all these, But dude, it's like people are waking up to it.
You just said it right, and that's the other thing that's so hilarious about this. When they talk about the book banning, nobody's banning it. To Kill a Mockingbird was one of those things that was snuffed out. One of the many things that are being snuffed out and modernized and edited, or at least they want to, by the left because it has racist themes in there and old school, no longer acceptable stuff. It's not the right that is putting cultural labels on every old Disney film and shit like that. So whatever.
Dude, but you got to understand something. The dynamic of right and left is pro wrestling.
Well, I understand. I'm speaking in.
It's all George Bush death cult, bro.
Right,
that's what
right.
it is.
But I'm not talking Republican versus Democrat when I say right and left. I'm talking on the spectrum of centralized control and artificial culture to decentralized control and individualism and freedom. So I'm never coming from that place. I know we have to put those.
I'm sorry I cut you off there.
No. I know we live in a time when those disclaimers are necessary, unfortunately. But as much as the internet is a trauma machine, the only reason why we've got this foothold right now is because of the internet. That's for sure.
No, I get that. What I'm talking about is social media and all that. Listen, if there was no internet, you and I wouldn't be talking right now. I wouldn't have a career. I wouldn't be able to take care of my kids. It's just the way it is because the system as it was set up, the gatekeepers didn't like me. They still don't like me, but because I can go direct to consumer, I've been able to have a fun career and be able to connect with people like you, like-minded people who are getting the word out, and it's great. But if you stay on the internet too long, you're just gonna live in a fight and flight world. And reality is like get in, get out, man. It's like everything on there is super toxic, from people wanting to go viral. Like going viral is like a race to the bottom. That's all it is. How ridiculously dumb can you make yourself look for clicks and views? And but the thing is, like, we can't save anybody. And the truth of the matter is, as I love putting the information out. I'm not here to save anybody, dude. The old saying is like, don't try to wake up the sheep, wake up the sleeping lions. You know what? Fuck the sleeping lions. I'm not waking up anybody. Here's the information. If you can't see what's going on, I can't save you. It's like the prophet Eddie Bravo used to say. If after all this stuff, you don't see what's going on, I can't save you. And I'm not here to save you. I'm here to take care of my kids, and hope to God that me and the mother can get along to make the right decisions. And that's all I care about. Outside of that, nothing else really is. I'm family, friends like you, and that's about it, dude. And it's a hard place to be, but I'm telling you, man, I'm just like, everything is just a spiritual war. They're coming at us. And after the Bushes came in, took over the CIA, you look at the 60s and 70s and what happened then, trauma after trauma. All of these cultural icons were FBI informants. They all were. They were positioned there as limited hangouts to take a movement that was naturally happening and position it in certain places. So now we live in a place where men have to be sexless, robots because they can get canceled with no evidence, even if a woman consents, and then a woman who has a train ran on her is some kind of civil rights leader. You know, like that's where, because everything is upside down. That's what's going on. And nobody's happy. Everyone's highly medicated. Everyone's on anxiety and everything like that. You're not, dude, the universe keeps telling you you're not doing what you're here to do, but we don't care because we live in a world where we medicate ourselves to get the anxiety down, to get the sadness and depression down, so we can continue down this road that we're not meant to do. And I'm just like, I'm not doing that anymore.
Man in the mirror.
Just over it.
The man in the mirror. That's it.
I'm over it. And now with this, all this shit that we've seen with the CIA, with the official story, they're trying to still get us into the official story of that these 19 hijackers stole these planes and flew them into buildings. If you believe that, you're a fucking idiot. Okay. Those were at the least drones. Well, and that thing was loaded with explosives, and that was done on purpose.
You just did, I mean, you want to talk about even more recent ridiculousness. I know that you did a little bit more on the ridiculous Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping, the Fednapping, and so you talk about war on reality, and that in hindsight, that we can see how that now has become an indispensable event that was, you know, prepping people for the January 6th scam, and it keeps building from there. It really does. But you know, I think that again, more and more people are checking out, and that is not a good thing. That is not a good thing for them. I think for everybody else it is, because we're kind of just going to the lifeboats, and that lifeboat is actually real life. It's not the Matrix that they want to shovel us all into. But let me ask you about something in particular, because this is a topic I did, and I started asking the audience about their experiences. I got a lot on it. A few weeks later, I saw that you had a guest on particularly about this topic, and it goes into...
Recluse.
Yeah, it goes into everything else that we're discussing right now, but now we just, on a microcosmic level, the GATE program for school goes under many names. Mixed experiences. I want to know your biggest takeaway, because where you and I differ in covering this topic is I didn't have a really big time, heavily invested guest to come on and talk about it. What did you take away from that? Because I'd like to go through some testimonies that I had sent to me after my show and read it to you.
If you were asking me, then this is where I got to, that everything is an intelligence operation, bro. Okay, what I got to is that these programs are data gathering programs in which the intelligence community can figure out who exactly has the characteristics they're looking for to be operatives in what they're doing. And you know, when you go all the way back, you know, there's psyops and psyops and psyops, man. But, you know, everyone's like, the Jews run Hollywood. Well, if you really look at it, the intelligence services created Hollywood. Most of your early studios were built by Navy intelligence operatives from the start. And then you get into like Scientology and L. Ron Hubbard, and like how they used him. He was a naval intelligence officer, and they used him to insert in the Jack Parsons occult group to like data gather and manipulate, and then he helped create NASA, and in payment he was allowed to create Scientology, which is another data intelligence operation, mostly to blackmail gay actors. And look at all the stuff that Scientology does tax-free. So that's where I started to get into this, is like, so if you look at like the Gates program, that sounds so much like, to me, what they were doing with Haight-Ashbury, where like that was just a giant free-range psych ward data gathering operation. They just opened up all these clinics and let these free clinics, right? And we know when something's free, you're the payment, right?
Yeah.
So all these free clinics in which they were testing the effects of psychedelics and methamphetamines.
Well,
And then now, if you look at everybody real quick, if you look at everybody really quickly who's into like Silicon Valley, what are they doing? Adderall and fucking microdosing. It's like insanity. So sorry.
no, there is a lot of that going, a lot of that to be to notice too, for sure, because the deeper you dig, there is that whole idea of substances that had popped up for me. But the range of things that I got in, most people, of course, they're talking about completely innocuous things, advanced education programs. You know, they're taken out of class. They're given, you know, puzzles to solve. So obviously everybody's being studied, and this is all, as you said, data collection and what. You know, you're going to be able to paint pictures and understand people from a developmental standpoint, because you're getting them at certain levels in their childhood. You're going to get them on a group standpoint versus individual, and then you're going to have those who just completely excel beyond everybody else's abilities, and maybe those are the rising stars. Perhaps those are the ones you watch and you give the Rhodes Scholarship to, and you move them through and all that other stuff. But I'll tell you, man, aside from the innocuous stuff, I got some stories in here. People feeling like they've been tracked their entire life, experiencing lost time. I'm going to read you a couple. Here's the first one. This is a shorter one from Plato's Revenge. Said, I'm curious if the program helped create many of us who have Asperger's syndrome. I'm fairly certain the counselor at this place over here in 1970 programmed me not to talk in class at all. I still believe those sessions screwed me up a bit. I think I recall at the end of the training I was told to mark down the talking violations of my classmates. It warped my perspective of other people for a long time. That's the first one I got. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, look at what's going on right now, like the Ukraine, right? If you take a look at the Ukraine, they're now putting in this kind of digital ID thing that, you know, we've heard they want to push here. And one of the big things is they're going to encourage you to rat out your fellow Ukrainians. And that sounds like what they're doing. And then you take a look at like what is happening with COVID, like how people were calling on their neighbors when they were just trying to live their life. So yeah, I totally think that's it. Now, if you should get Recluse on your show. I can help make that happen if you'd like, the guy that interviewed me, because he was talking about how a lot of these victims of the smiley face killer were part of these Gates programs, and what does that mean? Like, are they eliminating like subjects that wouldn't play ball, that they're like thought might be a little dangerous down the line? It's like super interesting, right?
Wow. Yeah, and did you bring up all the similarities from that one thread on 4chan about this? Because
he brought that up. He was talking about how there's some Reddits about the Gates program, and then there's a 4chan one,
Yeah, the blue eyes, the occipital bun, birth complications. A lot of people who are in the Gates programs that remember this, they have a lot of these things that overlap. Near-death experiences, lack of memory of the Gate program. Windows were covered in the Gate classrooms, tendency to be followed, abductions, general tracking. I got a lot of that. Law enforcement being extremely lenient. I hear this one. This one is from Jay. Said, hey, Frank, the Gate show on Friday, this was about a month or so ago, was very fascinating. Sharing my experience for the record in hopes it might be of use. I'm a firstborn son with blue eyes and alleged 140 IQ. Additionally, near drowning incident, very young. Always been fascinated by the paranormal. Early speech therapy in school, occipital bun. More than enough recreational drug use. Although the details are unsurprising, I do remember taking weird tests. Being hidden away in small windowless library of the rural Lutheran private school that I attended. And then, of course, he said he believes that he was also treated leniently by law enforcement. When his friends and him would get arrested, he'd be the only one sent home. Very weird shit. I got more over here. We'll do that as we go on. Go ahead.
Yeah, but you know, it reminds me a lot of like how the characteristics of the people involved in the 411, the missing 411, how so many of them are like of German descent, super smart, certain characteristics. Like, I mean, who knows how deep this goes? Like, there's always this theory, Frank, that the 23andMe is about finding descendants of Jesus. Have you heard about that?
No, no.
You don't know how deep the rabbit hole of data collection and what they're actually looking for. I think the world's ran by sorcerers, bro.
I'm with you.
They're running occult magic on us, and we have to wake up to it. And it's so funny because people when you look at it, everything makes sense when it's looked at through a spiritual lens. When people refuse to do that, it just seems like random chaos. But when you look at it through a spiritual lens of about these worshipers of Moloch and the fallen, and how this all fits into that. Like, if you're an elite, right, and your job, you want to subjugate the world, don't you want as many subjects as you can? Why are they pushing depopulation so much? Like, and it's working, dude. It's unbelievable to me how much it's working. I mean, the Asian countries are in deep shit, and America, our birth rate's down 20%. Like, dude, it's insanity. It's all working because it's not just one psyop. It's all the psyops working together. Going again, it goes back to fight and flight, feminism, pornography, both from a man's point of view and a female point of view. All of it is adding up to nobody wants to have kids or can't have kids, and that fits into the depopulation agenda, transhumanism, and all that stuff.
I got more of these over here. I'd like to.
Let's go.
You want to keep going?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love this.
It's funny you were talking about Germans, IQ, all that other stuff. The other thing I still have not been able to get to the bottom of is less common similarities with all the GATE programming. And I had a couple of people say it's crazy. Israeli art student girlfriends. That is one thing that it's not too common, but it has popped up more often than not. And I had one or two people write in and said, you freaked me out. You freaked me out with the Israeli art student girlfriends thing. So things like that. I said, what the heck? I said, there you go. There's another feather in the cap right there.
Oh my God, bro. That shit's crazy. I had a friend of mine who doesn't like me right now, but he would tell me, like, he remembers, man, he had a knock on the door. And the guy's like, oh, I'm an Israeli art student. I'm selling art. He's like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Just get out of here. I know what you're doing. Get out of here, dude. And it's like, that's crazy,
I know.
Bro.
I don't know where it comes from, but it's there. Here's another one. This is from V. She simply said, it's not too long. She says, you're never out. We were transported by bus. We had to wait until all parents were gone from parking lot. We waited behind a principal's office. Always a blackout during the transport. The bus would take a U-turn, then lights out. Handler followed me even after college when I dropped out. Supposedly our group failed and all dropped out. After I dropped from pre-med, I signed up for cosmetology, not wanting to think anymore. Guess who shows up days later as a teacher? The handler. She knew everything about what I had been doing and talked to me in that voice, that trying to be soothing voice. At the same time, the psych in charge of the program demanded I come back for an exit interview, called me relentlessly, and my mom finally screamed at him, said no way. Then a neighbor, weeks later, asked me for a ride. She said she was from the program and she wanted me to do more missions, she said. What? Missions. My mom swears on the Bible she never told anyone about me being in that program because she had no idea any of it, no idea of it all. She knew that I had extra homework, but whatever. Never knew about my being transported. The abductions, the drop-offs were common. Nabbed, then dropped off somewhere. You have minutes to find your way back. Psychic test training, the card games that they do. They would find me an adequate partner to challenge me. We worked on remote viewing and telekinesis. I was also taken to an island underground military base, they say. Remember, I don't... What? These are emails. I don't know any of these people from Adam, but just, we like talking about this.
All day.
Where I witnessed the worst part of it all. I woke up walking. I woke up walking up the dock and was handed over to a man who immediately hated me and tried to hurt me. When it was over, I woke up on a bench on the dock. Lots of missing time. It's comforting to hear others talk about this.
So hold on, I'm trying to see what Lindsey Graham is saying. Hold on. Lindsey Graham, no, Lindsey Brown. She's listening to us right now. She just texted me. Blah, 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 blah. Answer this. Actually, yes, I'm so confused why I said that. Johnny is right now reminding me, like, I don't, oh, dude. So our friend, Lindsey Brown from Rogue Ways.
Oh, Lindsey.
Lindsey Sharman.
Yeah, I know.
She is, she was part of the Gates program.
I
guess I'm just lucky I was an idiot that they never used me for anything.
I didn't. I wasn't asked to do any. I remember the auditory tests. I remember the tone tests, but I was never given the flashcards with the the Ghostbusters flashcards or anything like that. Oh,
it's crazy. But again, this is like data mining. This is who is right for. So like I had a cousin who's a cop now, right? And he just was trying to he's the nicest guy in the world, trying to become a cop. He couldn't pass the psych test. And I go, because you're too nice. They don't want nice people in there. They want the psychopaths in there. That's what they want. The ones who are quick to violence and all. And that's nothing against cops. I'm not anti-cops. I'm anti-bad cops. So it's like, you're cool until you're not. But I guarantee you, man, this is all data.
Yeah. Oh, what is Lindsay? Lindsay just told you that she was a part of it. Now is
in
it
the Gates program or her version of it, of what they went to school.
Damn,
she couldn't remember it. Now she's tripping balls out.
Should have wrote.
She doesn't remember if it's called Gates, but
no, there was other ones. That night that we were doing it on this show, 4 other iterations of the program's name, all the same stuff, all the same things that they were doing. But Gate is just the most recognizable one. I forget what the other ones were.
Again, trying to find your kids, figuring out who's got the characteristics that they need to be able to turn you into whatever they might want to turn you into.
I have a little something here, a little bit of a change. Here's a question. I got a bunch of questions from the audience for you. One of them I thought was really interesting, and since I was talking about Elon Musk at the rave, and there's a picture of him dancing at a rave, looks like he's tripping balls, whatever. I had Casey from the audience said, could you ask Sam whether he thinks that weird people find you easier when you're tripping or tweaking or rolling? When I used to take acid a lot, it seems that I would run into the strangest people no matter where I was or what I was doing. It's like I emitted some kind of signal that only straight up weirdos would sense.
Yeah, it's vibrations, bro. It's like, I've been talking a lot about what has been going on with women. And what OnlyFans is doing to women, how it's doing a lot of damage to humanity. And I'm not anti-porn, even though I don't watch porn anymore. And I think porn is low vibrational. But it's like what we're doing is we're taking these chicks that are built like Vikings, right? And we're putting them in these low vibrational activities. And what these women don't understand is like, when you do low vibrational stuff, you only meet low vibrational people. So when he's like, I was tweaking, I was doing drugs, I was rolling, all that stuff, all these, because that's who you're attracting. You're attracting your vibration. Your vibrational level attracts vibrational levels. Everything is energy, dude. So when you're tripping balls or you're tweaking your balls out, in recovery, I love recovery. I'm very blessed to be in recovery. One of the things I don't like about recovery is there's a term called lower companions. Mm-hmm. And I always hated that term. And I would always think about that term when I was lost in my drug abuse. I'd be like, I'm hanging out with lower companions. And then I realized, dude, they're not lower than me. I'm on the same level. Like it's just lower vibrational companions. Like when you do low vibrational shit, low vibrational people come to your life. When you do high vibrational shit, high vibrational stuff happens. So today, I'm living a wonderful life. I'm very blessed. I've had some unexpected bills come up that I've had to deal with. And it's put me into a financial fear a little bit, right? Some expenses that have been going on for the last couple months that I really shouldn't have to deal with, but I am, right? So a friend of mine's going through some stuff, and I've been texting with this person, about, the things I've learned in recovery and on my show Zero, like the spiritual stuff that I have. And we're just kind of talking about it. They're talking about their high anxiety. And I'm talking about, that's how the universe is the universe is talking to you. When you have anxiety, depression, sadness, anger, it's the universe talking to you, telling you the course that you're on is not the right course. If you want change, you have to make change, right? That's what the universe is telling you. When in reality, our modern day culture wants you to numb yourself out and continue down the path that you're not supposed to be on, okay? As soon as I hang up with this person or stop texting with the person, bang, I get a call from another person. Hey, I want you to go on this tour with me. So it's like, everything's about manifesting and abundance. So when we read something about, hey man, I'm doing drugs, I'm acting like a weirdo, why am I finding so many weirdos? Because that's the bat signal that you're putting out. So yes, that's a long story to a simple answer of yes.
Well, let me ask you this, because I talk a lot about, and we're going to be doing more on this because we're about to publish a new blog on quitefrankly.tv about the NPC phenomenon, how real it really is. Do you believe, because I don't necessarily believe this, but there's something to it. There's just it seems to be an element missing from people, and I don't know if it's possible that every living being on this planet, do they all, in fact, does everybody have a soul, well, at least when they start out? Or do you believe that regardless of how you were conceived, do you have a soul, or can it be corrupted or muted by your environment? Or are there some people who are just really, I don't know, man. I feel like there's no real spark.
Super interesting. It's a great question.
I feel like some people just lack the spark of divinity, and they are just on autopilot, and there's really no substance there. I hate to feel that way because it's dehumanizing, a kind of a thought, and I don't want to feel that way about people. But I always wondered: is everyone really, even the people who were created in the new robotic test tube laboratories, it is a human ovum, it is a human sperm, but when you put them together, it does start the cell division, and we get a baby from that. But is it it's a question it's just open for me.
It might be above our pay grade to understand that.
Yep.
Like it all depends on what you think this place is. Like, what is it? Is it a hologram? Is it a fake reality? Did a feminist named Sophia, the female part of God, decide to create life without males and created the demiurge who created this false reality because he wanted to be God, or it wanted to be God, and they need a divine spark to keep it going? It's an interesting thing. Or did God just create us because he wanted to create something in his image? It's super interesting. It's super deep. I don't know if we're ever meant to understand it in these meat suits. I think these meat suits are like those fat sumo things that you put on at a party, and it only lets you do so much. Like, anybody who tells you what God is delusional. They don't know what God is. We're not meant to understand what God is. God is the all. It's so beyond us. When we go, God has always been here, our mind goes, well, there had to be a creation. We can't understand eternity. Try to think about eternity. So they say 20% of people, there's only about 20% of people that can actually challenge authority. That 80% of people just go with the flow. In that aspect, there could be NPCs. It's interesting. Are they just here? But what if you're walking down the street? Have you ever been like walking down the street or driving and just see somebody walking and they literally walk like Grand Theft Auto, and you're like, that looks like how a street hooker in Grand Theft Auto walks down the sidewalk, right?
Yeah.
The question is this: if that person sees me walking, do I walk like that to her or him?
That's the other existential thing. You're sitting in a subway car, you look around people, and just by the glimpse, I feel like I never judge somebody just on there's certain things that an exterior will tell us. these days, depending, a person just loves, it's part of these new age religions that's infused with politics and everything else, that a person just puts on their costume every day. It usually just most people, when they're really into a certain thing, they have to just tell the world in one way or another. The way that they pierce themselves, the way that they dye their hair, usually, not all the time, but usually that's how people present themselves now. So I try to not make snap judgments, because even when you sit across from somebody on a bus, or you're online somewhere for coffee or whatever, you look around people and you sometimes I catch myself saying, man, I wonder how much this person knows, or what they don't know. And then it only takes a little while. If you say hello, if you exchange something, you start seeing immediately the energy loosens, and you exchange it, and you're like, oh, this person, they're real. Everybody's very real, and you catch yourself thinking that you could be the only real person in the room, until you start talking people in the room. You realize, okay, no, that's just my ego mouthing off. Everybody here is real, and everybody here has a soul. Of course it is. But then there's just other things that's on display where a person's like the spark goes out, and they really look like remote control cars. They're just completely remote control, and you're like, how can that person be conscious but in control by somebody else or something else? It's incredible. It's weird.
It is incredible. And then, where there's some people, like a big thing for me, and I don't know, I think it has to do with kind of what you're talking about, but there's this real understanding that there's a difference between intelligence and smarts. And like, I'm smart. I don't know how intelligent I am, but most of Hollywood is pretty intelligent and not very smart. And intelligence is understanding rules and systems and how to flourish within those rules and systems. Whereas smarts is experience, the emotion of experience, and having an almost like a special gift to understand how everything works out. And I think the NPCs could be really intelligent, but they're not very smart. They could write you the greatest script you've ever seen in your life or read in your life, but they couldn't tell you how the real world works. And they have very short memories, and they just do whatever they think authority wants them to do. Those are the NPCs, maybe. I don't know, but it's like, it's interesting. And, it's like, I've been very blessed to meet some great people that are very huge in our culture right now. And to see how people see them versus how I know them is so interesting. And I wonder, like, what that has to do with energy and psy-ops and NPCs and all that stuff. It's just, like, there's people I know on a very personal level that the perception of them on the internet is not the same person I know. And it's like kind of crazy how that happens and why that happens. And it's just interesting. So when you say you meet somebody, suddenly there's a spark. I don't know, man. It's like, it's so much deeper than all I know is that the world and the place we live in is so much deeper than they want us to know. They just want us to think that we live in a stupid, on a fucking dumb rock hurling through space, and that we're just here for a short time and then it's over. And I think it's the exact opposite of that.
Yeah, well, you know what? If there's any place that you can figure it out, it would be in one of your 8 podcasts. And you got so many great people that come on and talk with you, and you got so many things that you dive into all throughout the week. I hope people go and check them out. I know that you're going to be in Baton Rouge soon. You got some. You're
Baton Rouge.
Let everybody know where you're going to be and where to find you, and what your consistent release schedules are for your podcasts.
So on every Monday, I release Conspiracy Social Club with Brian Callen. Every Tuesday, I release Tinfoil Hat with Sam Tripoli. And then every Thursday, even though today I'm going to get it out late because there were some issues with the upload, I usually put out Tinfoil Hat. And then a Friday, we put out another Conspiracy Social Club. Every Monday, I put in Broken Simulation. Everyone's like, this show's about nothing. Exactly. I just see if I could talk about my life for 2 hours and make it interesting. And it's been growing. And now I just got a new video. I do something on YouTube where I watch street fight videos and talk about it. So I just do shows I enjoy talking about. If you go to samtripoli.com, you can find all of it. I'm very blessed. I'm on Rockfin. I'm one of the OGs of Rockfin, and I have multiple shows on there. Tinfoil Hat, I do 3 shows on exclusive for my premium content people. One is a Q&A. The next one I do is something called Conspiracy Rewind, where I go and find old I saw films
that.
or videos.
I saw that. It's an interesting concept. I saw that the Al Gore, Ross Perot.
Oh yeah, dude. You want to get into occult magic? You watch Al Gore, Revelation of the Method, where he tells you exactly what's going to happen, and it's slipped in so subtly, and nobody says anything about it, and it's exactly what happened. And now he has plausible deny. Hey, we told you that was going to happen. So it's super interesting. I did something on 60 Minutes interview where they discussed how basically Richard Nixon, I think it was Truman or Eisenhower, and a Rockefeller brought in all the Nazis into America. They were part of the OPS that did that. So that's what I'm doing. And then I do an only conspiracy. So it's basically that. And then I do a Zero is my spiritual podcast. I'm only going to do one of those episodes a week, but it's allowed me to have these conversations with you where I'm just not a crazy person in a fucking cave in the mountains, because I think every day is Armageddon.
Yeah. However you can vent, fine. And I just can't believe you can maintain that schedule. And if you wanted to, we're talking now for just about an hour, and we're about to cut out. So if you wanted to take this and throw it into any of those shows, I consider this a joint episode that we did. So by all means,
do a little swap cast. I could do that. I'm not against it at all, man. I could figure a time to put it out. I'd like to do that.
Well, you just seem like a guy. You got 9 dozen shows. You just seem like a guy who really could use all the content you can grab. You're more than welcome.
Well, my father was a worker. He worked a lot of jobs. He wasn't a perfect dad, but he gave me 2 things: sense of humor and a work ethic. So I took the old Seinfeld view. Seinfeld tells a story about he'd be walking, he'd see that these construction workers were working every day, and he goes, "That's why I want to do a comedy." So I took that to comedy and podcasting. I go mostly through Monday through Wednesday, Sunday through Wednesday. I'm doing multiple podcasts all day. When people like you, and then tomorrow I'm doing the Human Vibration. Once in a while I'll do an extra show because, I like to talk to my peers who are in the same genre. And if I can bring some eyeballs to your show and help you grow, that would be great for me. But, I'm just a worker amongst workers, and I just figure I'm not the best reader in the world. So I really retain through talking. I'm much better at retaining information generally than I am about reading. I can't focus that much, but I'm doing it, and that's great. So I have a bunch of shows. Just go to samtripoli.com. I also want to give a shout out to my buddy's new podcast called Jason Galern's Chat Box. They're only like 5 minutes long, but I've never laughed so hard in my life. So if you're looking for a fun, quick podcast to listen to, check it out. Please check out my comedy podcast, Broken Simulation. It's just me trying to live my life, okay? And it's fun. What we really do is have people call in with their urban legends. We had a guy, dude, you got to check out the Shapeshifter video we just put out. A guy just basically, him and his wife went for a walk. There were all these cars. They came back. There were no cars except for this one car. And it was like this creepy story where you saw this guy's hand just slither over and you could see slither over the steering wheel, and it went from not being there to being there, and it's so creepy, bro. So I love it, dude. If I wasn't talking to you right now, I'd be just talking to myself. So I might as well just put a camera and a microphone in front of me and try to pay my bills.
No doubt about it. Hey, listen, I love the company,
we gotta
Sam.
get you on Tinfoil Hat too.
Oh, it's been a while. I'd love to come back. You just let me know, and I'll be your booking guy, Mark. I was just talking to him not too long ago, so I'll bring it. We'll get it done. But you're always a wonderful guy to talk to, and thank you for being a guest again tonight, man. SamTripoli.com, and I hope that your upcoming gigs are going to be sold out, and everybody's going to love the time spent with you there too.
Well, I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure to talk.
All right. Good night.
Bye, bud.
There's Sam Tripoli. Well, I really enjoyed that. I always do. And I can't wait to take your calls now. So that's what we're going to cast off into the intermission. We'll be right back. The lines will be open. We've got some super chats I want to read through. And especially if we got more GATE people out there. You know, Lauren texted me not too long ago, and she said Lindsay actually mentioned that when she was on, that she was in the GATE program. I don't remember that. Just like most people who are in GATE don't remember it. But, okay, well, I guess we'll follow up on that. Does it sound like she was kind of freaking out a little bit with Sam? Unless Sam was just exaggerating and Lindsay was just stating it as a matter of fact. But we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, and the lines will be open for you. Where the hell am I? Here.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out. Press the like button. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen.
We're now entering, quite frankly.
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 Quite frankly. Quite frankly. Quite frankly. Quite frankly.
We all support quite frankly.
Not quite.
Let's go, Brandon.
Quite frankly, in Roma, Italia.
Quite frankly, you going on Frank's show tonight?
I really like you. You're very smart.
So everybody watch. Quite frankly, with Frank.
All right, so I am back for your super chats and your calls now. We'll do calls in just a little bit. Let us see. First one up is from Maddie Nice. Says, Frank, shout out to Sam and Frank, two of the best in the game. Support independent media. These guys deserve that Rachel Maddow money. That's blood money. I would love to produce more and to thrive, and yes, but I don't want the source of Rachel Maddow's money. The figures probably put a little blush on your cheeks, but I don't know what that is. I'm sure she gets 7 figures. And needs a lot of money to keep those eyes blinking. Palador Vero says, Franciscans sounds a bit Jesuit. I'm a frankly. I don't know what it sounds. Can't call it Jesuit when it's not. We don't know anything about it. Matt has not told us what the order is all about. But understood. Proceed with caution. Okay. Shabs says, ask Sam about having Narco Longo on the show. He blew his mind. Shit, I didn't see this. Narco Longo on the show. He blew his mind. KT Sky D says, I swear I've been feeling the same way about being at the 355 degree from where I started, but for different reasons than why I was there before. There is the way you think things change ought to be and the way that things actually are. Bizarro red pill. Yeah, it's the same thing for me too. It was articulated very nicely with the 355 degree turn that Sam spoke about, because you do the full 363, you're 360, you're right back to where you started. But you can't ever be right back to where you started if your perspective has completely changed. Unless, see, it's the same reason why I say, like, for example, there are times in the past years ago where Rand Paul would be voting no against some sort of a spending bill alongside of Democrats voting no. And I would explain it, say, well, it's very simple. Rand Paul is voting no because he believes that we're spending too much. And the Democrats, in whatever situation it was one time or another, is voting no because they believe it doesn't go far enough. So I guess that would be an example of, see, I don't know, you're standing in the same spot, but you have completely two different perspectives. I get what he's saying, though. You've almost gone full revolution, and you can't ever really fully go back home to where you started. But what if the journey was really all about feeling that truth inside of your gut? Feeling that truth inside of your gut, and because we are just human, we are so flawed, we don't know how to really bring ourselves to believe one thing or another, to articulate one thought or another, to, and we just go off searching. And sometimes we find things that work, and sometimes we find things that make our situation worse. Here's some media that was sent to me before the show. It's almost 3 minutes long, but man, it was a really good exchange between these two men. It's a TikTok video. A man of wisdom. Take a listen to this.
I think I'm a white man.
You think?
Yeah.
No, do you believe?
I believe I am a white man.
Don't you know that belief is a doubt?
How is belief a...
So he just said, for those of you in podcast land who don't have the subtitles, this one man, I guess he's Jamaican or something, or from St. Thomas or anywhere. He's Caribbean. And he just told this white man, Do you believe that you're a white man? And he said, I believe, yes, I am a white man. He says, do you know that a belief is a doubt? And then he starts, look how he ropes this into a wonderful conversation about faith and believing.
I think I'm a white man.
You think?
Yeah.
No, do you believe?
I believe I am a white man.
Don't you know that belief is a doubt?
How is belief a doubt?
Eh?
How is belief
Because
a doubt?
you cannot believe something and know it. If you
wait, my poor brain, wait.
Hang on.
I cannot believe it and know it.
No. And you can only believe in what you don't know.
I like that. You can only believe in what you don't know.
You don't know.
That's why you have to believe it.
Yes.
Ah.
Now, do you believe in your mother and father?
No, I know my mother and father.
Yeah. So, but you might believe in Jesus.
I might believe in Jesus.
Because you don't know Jesus.
I've never met him.
You can only believe in what you don't know.
True.
So know that belief is a doubt.
Believe.
Now, do you know that you are a white man? If you know that you are white, explain to me how you know this.
Okay. My mother is Portuguese and she's white. My father is Scottish with blonde and blue eyes.
And you reckon they are white?
I reckon.
All right. Listen to this conversation.
Go on, you tell.
If I get water,
yeah,
it's quite simple, innit?
Yeah.
I get a black can, a white one, a blue one, and a yellow one, and I fill them with water and seal them.
Yeah, okay.
When you look, would you see the water?
You can't see the water at all.
What would you see?
Nothing, just the white or the black.
You would see the different colors.
The different colors.
And if you trust those eyes of yours, you're going to believe that they're different, aren't you?
I will believe it.
Until you go and fucking taste them.
Correct.
And what are you going to discover?
That it's all just water.
All one. Oneness in diversity, we call it.
Yeah.
Now you see all these human beings that you see.
Yeah.
Who believe that they are Japanese, Chinese, blacks, and whites.
Yeah.
They are the same. And if you go to any one of them, excuse me, sir, what color is your mind? You see, you hear what he said?
He doesn't know what color his mind is.
No, go and ask a Japanese, he don't know either.
No.
Because we are spirits living in different color physical bodies. We are not our bodies. When you look with the eyes, you're not seeing me, you are seeing the body. Just like I tell you, when you look at the tins, you won't see the water, will you?
No.
Will you look at my body and say I'm a black man? That is a program. You was programmed from birth, to believe that you are blacks and whites. But you fuck all like that. You're just a spirit in a body full of the same stinking shit.
Thank you, my friend.
Now that is something that can take you 355 degrees in itself. And suddenly you're standing right where you started, maybe a little bit shifted, but then the world is just it's a different shade. It's like, whoa. I love that. That's terrific. Over there on Rumble, we got some Rumble rants. Where is a Rumble rants? SF Green Eyes says, when I'm writing, I stay up until the birds chirp. And being a San Francisco native, I write sci-fi novels about unpooping the streets. You know, I guess I should have thought better. SF Green Eyes, they have been in the chat room for, I think, a couple of years now. And I should have just thought, maybe this person is from San Francisco. But there we have a little something from there. Okay, over on Pilled. And then we will open up the lines for the last 20 minutes. Sean Joe, thank you. Tempo 420, thank you so much. Paulie says a porta potty on every intersection. That would be that'd be something. You still need somebody that's going to go service that porta potty. Boys Blanc, thank you. Rising Patriot 1776, thank you. Jesse again. Tangerine 26 with a wonderful donation. Thank you so much for your gold pills. The gold pills on quitefrankly.tv. You know, I think more and more of you should go over there and watch the show there and hang out, because then you don't have to go anywhere when the after hours programming kicks in afterwards. But also, all those gold pills, they're so fun, they're so easy to convert, and they go directly toward the funding of all future projects and ongoing projects at the network and behind the scenes here. So directly, too. And it's an independent platform, so that's wonderful in itself. Zoso Dude says, I'm a diehard Frankly. Methinks the Franciscan sect might be gay. Well, you can never discount that. It could be uber gay, but we don't know anything about it yet. Matt he's been very reclusive, very hermetic when it comes to coming forward with any details. It's strange. It's like the pregnant pause before the entire culture of the show changes forever. Because just the build up and the tension, that alone has made people say, "Oh, I'm a Franciscan no matter what." There's something about this energy that just screams, "I have to be there." And especially since Matt started it up, that's been enough. So we've already gone past that point of no return, but it's just a matter of how big the impact is going to be. Alan Wrench says, "Great guest and great insight." We have one over here from Toby. Says, "Frank, do you have any of your original songs that you listen to yourself?" I don't go searching for them. I like playing them on the show because it gives me an extended break. I think I have a lot of faith in the songs. I think that they're wonderful. There's so many more we have that we haven't made music videos to. So I know it might seem like we only have 4 songs, but it's not. We just have 4 music videos or so. But what I will say is that I never skip Vapor. I never skip Vapor when it pops up in shuffles. Never. That is a horse of a different color right there. And other than that, I do go and listen to the song Deviant a bit. There is a video for that one, a lyric video for that one. But, you know, I always think twice about putting it on for this audience just because it's a tad dark. It's about addiction. So it's a tad dark there. So I think we did an October premiere for it. I played it on this show last October or the October before. I forget when the hell it was. It was in the creepy time of year because it's got a creep. But I love that because the drums and the bass. It's got a. Hold on. And then hold on. Now you guys got me. Sent to charge Deviant. Let's see. Hold on a second. Let's see. I love the drums in this one. Hold on. Yeah, that's why I like listening to this one, and I love these leads in. And then it's the middle part in this one too. Where is it? Here we go. It just keeps you down here, then it fucking explodes. Gotta watch your step, unpredictable. You never know what's next. I'm on the front line, put my luck to the test. Well, I'm subconsciously begging for the sun to. So that's a little bit of it. Like I said, I pick and choose times for things like that. I don't want to bring people to too dark places, but sometimes you need to go where the light don't shine. Sometimes you just need to go there. There are other songs that I still dig up from years ago because I want to listen to certain parts. Let me see. Set the charge right side of history. Okay. I love the middle part of this. In years, this was like 5 years ago we released this, but by 2 years after we released this song, we had already changed up. Anthony had already changed up the vocal lines so they weren't so in such a high register and all that stuff, but or high key, I should say. And then we just chilled things out. But the middle part in this, I love, and I always say we got to make it 2 times as long. Just let it space out. Listen to this. Here we go. Yeah. 2017, that was a good year. We did a lot of cool things. Everybody, the show, it was the first year of the Trump presidency. Everybody was all up and having a good time. The UFOs were showing up by December. Oh, man. And the production value has gotten a lot better with all the future releases after this, too. But, yeah, thank you for asking. I like talking about music. We got to do more of it. And that gave me a reason to jump into some things I usually don't listen to. All right, let's take 1 or 2 calls. First one up is Denise. What's going on, Denise?
Hey, Frank.
How you doing?
I'm doing so well. Hey, I think you have me recorded and you're saving in your account there. So, I'm nervous, and I didn't expect to be nervous. And last time we talked, I called in on the Dream episode, and I was so bloody nervous. I kind of blathered on, and you had to reel me back.
Oh.
I wanted to say I love your show so much. I didn't get to say that last time, and it's just such a blessing to be listening to you every night and be in this community with you.
Well, this is great. I always love hearing that, and I'm glad you called back. I'm glad you called back. Of course, that was on the old system, so whatever I saved you at over there is no longer. Now this is just the built-in what's the caller ID from Zoom. I had Jerry from Scotland the other night said, I tried calling in, but Frank doesn't pick up my calls anymore. I said, no, Jerry, I don't know who anybody is anymore. I had eight years of contacts, and I should be able to upload all of my contacts into Zoom, but it's not taking for some reason. And Zoom they had just worthless customer service thus far. So I'm trying to figure it out. Anyway, Denise, at least I know your first name.
Hey, no, I love it. I'm actually, I was Red Sonja back in the day on D-Live, and now I'm Daily News because my last name is Daily, and on Rumble now, and it's just great communities. But really, I called in just for a couple things, but I won't be as gregarious as last time. I think I'm a little more calm.
Well, then give it to us.
I was in the GATE program, and if you recall, I was talking about my dreams, and I was so nervous. I was saying one of my dreams, I went outside, there was black boxes, but I meant to say black cubes. But that's really irrelevant now. But definitely, the gate was interesting. And when my mom found out that I was in it, questions were asked for sure. But it did continue with me through junior high and high school. And my brother was a Navy SEAL, active for 30 years. My dad was a Navy lieutenant commander. There's lots of interesting stuff there. I want to also just quickly say, I get so nervous just thinking King is going to hate me. It's like, who's this blathering woman? We all want King to like us, okay? That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Yeah, the more you go, you're digging a grave with him. So
hell yes.
I would just focus on your story, because don't think you're going to please him.
No, right? I just want to be respectful, and I at the same time want to be able to tell the story rather than blather on, which we don't have tended to happen.
We don't have too much time. So aside from your experience inside of it, and of course you have this family that is 1 foot in the military, 1 foot out. So give us your nutshell conclusions of what it was all about, because some people think they don't have any suspicions about it. There was never any red flags, nothing. It was a little bit more of an extracurricular academic challenge for them. So just put it in a nutshell, because I'd like to take a couple more calls before we end.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's wrap it up. I mean, basically, I think that they were just checking. They were testing out the quote unquote gifted kids. I don't remember a lot of it. I do feel that there was some nefarious things. It's like many of your GATE people who have chimed in. I honestly don't know. It's just hella weird. And I do want to say, just to wrap it up, that in the dream episode, when I talked about all my dreams, I didn't get a chance to say, no matter what, even though I was on the brink, I always felt okay, and that was very connected to divinity. So that's important. And the last thing before I go, there was a good thing that happened on January 6th. I met my Frank on January 6th at a tavern because Trump had lost, and I thought, damn it, I just got to go get a beverage. And there I met Frank. We've been together ever since. He has a brother, Tony, who's from Buffalo, New York. I always just think, man, I wish I could tell the Franklies about the good thing that happened.
Wow. So okay. Real quick, in your dreams, did you ever go to other places?
Yes.
And can you confirm? Can you confirm that you were actually playing observer, and it wasn't just your dreams, your only internally generated images? Can you confirm you actually traveled to other places?
Can't confirm it.
Okay.
I can't. It's just my dreams. I just had every type of dream, night terrors, everything when I was young. It's too, it's going to be too long of a story, but I've listened to the episodes with the doctor who talks about, out-of-body experiences and all that. I don't recall his name right now, but I mean, it's just, I know I'm not giving a lot of information about GATE or that.
That's fine.
yeah, it's, again, the nervousness kicks in, but it's just relating to all the stories here, and there's a lot of connectedness between all of us in those programs, and the out-of-body dreaming and all those experiences in dreamland. I think that's part of the reason that they're data keeping on us, and I agree with Sammy there that data-driven, and there's just I don't know. I'm at a loss for words again.
No. You did well. No. You did well. I think that you really hit on it, especially with all the things that goes on in Dreamland with you. They probably picked up on something, and they probably know. That is really awesome, though. Story about the January 6th. That while everything else, other plans were being laid for us in the future, you went to go have yourself a, libations, just something to lighten the mood after you realized that all was lost for Donald Trump in the 2020 election, and you found your man, and that's awesome. So you commiserated, and now you've been together ever since. And one last thing before we go, I saw King 40 has popped up in the chat room, and he actually says, "I don't hate her; she's doing fine."
Right on, King.
All right, so there you. Okay, you have yourself a good night, Denise.
You as well. Thank you so much.
All right,
take care now.
Bye bye. Thank you. Okay. So third round. Now when she calls in, she's gonna be even more calm. That's how you bring somebody safely to shore. And that was great. It's a great call. See, don't go so hard on yourself, Denise. And there you go. King threw everybody a curveball tonight. All right, let's see. What do we have? Jessica. What's going on, Jessica?
Oh, wow. Hey, Frank.
Hi, how are you?
I'm all right. I'm just watching your show and calling to say I wasn't in the GATE program, but I think I was tested when I was a kid.
So you were one of the people. You were one of the people who were just not accepted.
Well, I don't know. So I used to watch Fringe. I don't know if you ever watched that show.
No.
It was a very weird sci-fi show, and it was just very bizarre. And it was like you never knew this woman. I can't explain it, anyways. But I did drown when I was 3, and then crazy dreams, just like this caller before. Very religious family. It's just bizarre. I didn't remember anything about being tested until I listened to your show.
See. Okay, so that's the main thing there too. A lot of people a lot of other people remembered the test, and then beyond that, there was more that remembered that they were accepted into. They're like, oh, that's what that was all about. Afterwards, so it seems like a lot of people were tested. Not everybody gets in, whatever. But when you say you drowned, when you're 3 years old, what did you do? You fell into a pool when nobody was around. What happened?
It was like a swimming pool, a neighborhood swimming pool with lifeguards and everything. And I had lots of siblings, and I don't know what happened, but I went down to touch the bottom and had to be revived.
Gee, so you lost consciousness.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then 3 years old, you're not supposed to remember stuff. I remember my mom making a joke, getting into the ambulance, because I had to go to the hospital because they had to test my blood and stuff. And she said, "Do you want to be buckled up on the gurney?" And I was like, "No, why would I want that?" Like, "No, I want to be in your arms, Mom."
Wow. So, okay. Yeah. That is, well, 3, that's pretty traumatic. You don't remember anything, obviously. This is a lot to ask of a 3-year-old anyway, but you don't remember anything from the point where you were unconscious, do you?
No, but I've always had bizarre dreams, and they definitely affect my life more than reality sometimes.
Wow. Well, I thank you for the call, Jessica. This was interesting. Again, thank you.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
All right. See, you just never know what's coming through on the other end. And yeah, people are commenting, King must be in a good mood tonight. King is in more good moods than you'd think. Okay? He just doesn't want you guys to think that he's in a good mood for some reason. I always tell him over the years, can you just show people the King I know, please? Stop making this so hard for me. And I don't know. He just doesn't. He just wants you guys to think he's miserable for some reason. All right, whatever. What else do we have over here? Varen, you there? Varen?
Sorry, who's this?
Hello, Varen?
This is Veronica.
Who?
This is Veronica.
Jonathan?
Veronica?
Okay, Veronica. Veronica, if you're on a speakerphone right now, please turn it off.
Hi. Okay.
So it kind of sounds like you're inside of a trash can right now.
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
I think it's my phone.
There's the
Sound better?
There's the clarity. Welcome to the show, Veronica.
Hey, so I'm the one who wrote to you. After I wrote to you, I can't get into my email, which is so funny. But I'm the one who was taken to the island, and the guy tried to kill me first. It was really weird.
Oh.
He was very upset. See, I have no idea how I got to the island. I never knew how I got to places. So it was really weird. But when I woke up, I was walking up this dock, and they left me with this man on a golf course, and we were up on top of the cliff. And the guy was so angry that I wasn't the person he wanted. And that's when he tried to kill him by tearing off with this golf cart, and I almost fell off the cliff.
So wait a second. So when you say that you were, they attempted to kill you twice in one night?
Kind of, yeah. It was pretty bizarre. So then I blacked out again, and that's when they took me to the satanic ritual. And this was in a military base, and I was just wondering if any of the other GATE or MGM people had gone through any SRA. I mean, I was never sexually abused that I know of, but I was just wondering if anybody else was taken to a military base and went through any of the rituals.
I have not gotten. This is the most extreme. This is the most extreme account I've ever had, Veronica. So I definitely nothing like that. We've had before you. There was a testimony of missing time at a sleepaway camp where they fell asleep on one floor. They woke up at another floor. And then there's a couple of other things just about surroundings and about odd habits of transportation and whatever. So when it comes to this, no, I had not.
Okay.
But you know what? Now that you put it out there, who knows what comes in? Who knows what comes in? But I appreciate you calling in to reiterate or to expand a little bit more.
Okay, and also if anybody was part of the Moon Project, and I have really not much clue as to what that was. I just know that I was involved in it, and that was kind of because I was in trouble, because I wouldn't get along. I wouldn't do what they wanted me to do, and I just wanted out.
Wow,
so,
you should be just consider yourself lucky that you made it out of the especially the murder attempts. I mean, that usually when they want to finish somebody off, it's done pretty cleanly and pretty effortlessly. So I'm glad that we have lived to hear you call in tonight, and thank you for the call.
Okay, thanks.
All right, yes, we'll see what comes through after that one. Definitely don't have time to expand on it right now, and we know that she's in the audience, so maybe we'll be able to get more details one day. But what do you think? What do you all think at home? We've got plenty to talk about tomorrow, though. I have a bunch of call-in topics, and now that we're knocking on the door of June, we are going to talk about the Tales from the County Fair thread that we did. There's also the best and worst concerts you ever been to and biggest concert regrets. People, artists, bands that you could have seen, you didn't see, and you can never see now because they've either broken up or members have died or whatever. We're getting into the summertime nostalgia vibes now. So I hope that you go on to the Quite Frankly forum, which please, there's some great people over there chatting, discussing things, threading on certain topics. Go to quitefrankly.tv and enjoy yourself on the forum, the on-demand section, everything else on top of what we have for the after hours programming. I really appreciate it, and we want to get more and more of you on the forum because that is another big way that we produce, have something end. I don't know what happened. My OBS completely froze up, and I lost everything over here. And since YouTube stays running, I can just jump right back in and amend a little improv ending here. So with that, I want to thank more of my sponsors. I want to thank more of my super chatters. Keith says SRI abuser psychos will tell people they are part of any one power group to get kids to do what they are told. PC Tech Pro says all my gold pills are belonging to Frank. Thank you for that. And Tempo says, thanks, Frank. Great show. Over on Rumble, I just want to make sure I got everything. I did. And I want to thank everybody on Rockfin. On Rockfin, we have Chris Youngblood says, great conversation with two of my favorites. Well, thank you, Chris, for being out there. And I hope you see this. But, of course, the full episode is not going to be on Rockfin. So you may not see it, but I love you nonetheless. And then over here on, quite frankly, superchat.com, Dooku Dan says, I highly recommend the Charles Bronson movie Telephone from 1977. It's about mind-controlled Soviet agents who were implanted in the U.S. 20 years before. Bronson has to deactivate them before Donald Pleasance activates by reciting a poem over the phone. I think we have played scenes from Telephone on, quite frankly, after show, but I don't know. The Iron Mountain Hour says, been listening for 5 years. You get better every day. I figure I owe you something. I sent you an email on my GATE program experience. Going to try to call. Wow, thank you so much, Iron. I hope you get through it. You know, Friday night, we open up the lines. I'm going to give you a whole bunch of call-in topics, and you can bring up anything from the week, and I will offer new things. So I hope I hear from you tomorrow, Iron Mountain. Thank you. Maddie Nice says, shout out to Sam and Frank, two of the best in the game. Support independent media. I think I read that one before, but thank you again to Maddie. All right, guys. All right, gals. That's all I have for you here tonight. And, yeah, right now it's just you and me on YouTube. That's all. And hopefully it's a complete show. With that, I wish you all a wonderful evening, and I will see you over there on quitefrankly.tv for the after hours. It's Throwback Thursday. What the hell's going on? What's happening, bro? Wait a second. Oh, here you go.
I'll catch you on the flip side.